Welcome in to The Wire. We are dealing with Week 7 and all the mayhem that's going along with it, including injuries from all over. And, of course, a lot of big players are out with Buffalo Bills, the Rams, Vikings, and Eagles all going on bye. You're missing quarterbacks. You're missing wide receivers. You're missing running backs. It's a rough landscape right now.
Yeah.
But, as usual, Mike Brillen has decided to join me, and ahead of the game, we're both kind of ready to watch. So we're going to hopefully fly through this a little quicker than normal.
Yeah.
How's it going, Mike?
Good. It's a busy weekend. Like I said, I got to watch my Padres take down the Dodgers, which is great. So, and hopefully the Chargers can take down the Broncos tonight. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of hoping to see how that works out. But I also noticed that a lot of their players got activated from IR randomly today. Shocker, I know, but
I know. Right?
it has to happen against us, doesn't it?
Yep. We'll
Like
see. We'll see.
Yeah,
Entertaining.
like we were saying, I mean, you have a lot of people out this week, so we're here to help you guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to start off with quarterback position like we always do. Now, mine's kind of controversial because it can go either way, but I'm really hoping that Bailey Zappi continues to have that job. He's looking so good, 0.8% rostered, had a massive week this week, is actually a top 12 quarterback at this point, which is just mind-blowing, putting up 18.36 fantasy points against the Browns. But he's come in and really done a solid work, but even without that, Mac Jones has also been pretty solid. So if he does come back, which I prefer him not to yet, they get a decent matchup against the Bears. I mean, is that something you're worried about? I am not. So that's somebody I'm looking to stream for sure. What do you think, Mike? You have somebody you want to look at?
Yeah. Just real quick on the Zappy thing. Is there any chance that he can take over the starting job from Mac Jones? You think, or is that just too crazy?
Steve feeling attacked already. I mean, I wish, but even in the offseason when I was looking at the incoming rookies, I like Zappy. I mean, they're pretty much a similar style player, but it looks like Zappy's just coming in and really put in the work and gotten after it. But I just don't see Bill going away from his second year starter here to go with Zappy. So
yeah, I would definitely pick up Zappy if Mac Jones is going to be out. Just some other ones.
If you're looking at Dynasty, I mean, he might be somebody you want to stash just in case.
For sure. Yeah. A couple other guys. I mean, Justin Fields he's had two pretty good back-to-back weeks. If you're streaming quarterbacks, he had 18 points versus Minnesota, 19 versus Washington. Always has that rushing floor. I think he rushed for almost 90 yards last Thursday night. He does have a tough matchup, I guess, against the Patriots. They're kind of historically tough, but I looked and I think they're 18th against quarterbacks, so kind of middle of the road. So I always like the quarterbacks with rushing floors. So him and Daniel Jones were the two I were kind of looking at if I need to stream someone. I think I was reading, Daniel Jones is top 6 in rushing for quarterbacks this year, which we don't normally think of, I guess, when you think of Daniel Jones, but he can run the ball. He's had some good weeks. He had 20 points versus the Bears, 16 last week versus the Ravens. So those two quarterbacks and maybe Marcus Mariota as well. I don't know if he falls in this list under the 50%.
I was actually thinking of somebody based on what we kind of heard today with Carson Wentz being potentially out is Taylor Heineke. I mean, if he actually gets that job, it'd be somebody that I'd be kind of interested in looking at because speaking of people who rush the ball, I mean, Heineke is one of those. It's tight. Yes, it's a worse offense. So, I mean, but now it's Brian Daboll. He's coming in and really just revamped that whole thing. And if he starts to run like Josh Allen, that would be a definite benefit. But I remember all too well him getting eaten by the turf monster, just falling randomly.
Yeah. And, if he does get his weapons back, Wandale, who knows about Kadarius Toney, but if he gets a couple of these guys back, you could help him out for sure.
Yeah. Star and Eagle here. Is it good that Tua is slated to start week 7 or is it too early? I mean, realistically, I thought he would be back last week. So the fact that they've given him an extra week is, I mean, probably a good thing. I mean, just the fact that they're being extra cautious about it. I'm assuming that he's going to get some contact this week. My understanding is that he was cleared, but he's just been working through that protocol that they've kind of set up. And because they messed it up so bad the first time, they're kind of wanting to cover. And so if he's back, I'm definitely starting him. And if he's on the waiver wire, definitely pick him up. I mean, he looked really good the first couple weeks, and with the weapons I guess Waddle kind of sustained an injury towards the end of the game, but it'll be interesting to see how he comes back this week and really ramps things back up.
Yeah. I think it's a good sign that they're talking about him starting. So that's always, you want to hear that.
At the very beginning of the week too. I mean, that's very early to be like, we're going to proceed as if he's starting at this point. And I'm like, that's a good move. I like it.
The whole concussion thing's changing. You got to, it was kind of weird. Like Bridgewater was cleared, but Skylar Thompson started, and then Thompson got hurt, and Bridgewater. It's like, well, if he's good to play, why isn't Bridgewater in? I don't know. It was just, it's all weird and up in the air. It's going to be different this year, at least for the next few weeks. So hopefully,
pretty much, if you get a concussion, you're going to be out at least that week. It seems. Even with Olave, I thought for sure he'd be back because he made it through pretty much all the stages, and then it just didn't work out for him. But so we'll move into running backs here, and of course, it's a guy playing tonight. Get him ahead of everybody else. Mike Boone, he's part of that split. Granted, I know Latavius Murray has also been added. It's interesting. He's still going to be splitting with Melvin Gordon, who is dealing with an injury, which is part of the reason I like him. But in this matchup against the Chargers, he could easily be a good option. And if he goes, like I said, Gordon dealing with injury, if he goes down, you already have a back there, and it's going to be slotted in pretty nicely. I think he actually looks more like Javonte Williams than Gordon does. I mean, based on how he's been playing, and he looked pretty good last week against was it the Colts? Yeah, he put up 11.5 and got a lot of 3 or 4 catches. That's something you're definitely looking for in a matchup, especially like tonight, for example.
Yeah, I like that for sure. And a couple other guys. I mean, how are you feeling about Kenyon Drake? I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions with him. He looked really good.
I mean, he's gotten a hold of the offense, so that makes sense. But again, he's going to be more than likely splitting with maybe having Edwards come back. Dobbins went out due to his knee tightening up, and so that one's kind of up in the air. It's not one I would really be targeting, but if Dobbins is out, he'll be okay. It's just they don't use a running back like they should. They need one guy that they're able to pretty much run a wildcat with, and him and Lamar can just go back and forth, confusing offenses.
Yeah, Gus Edwards and also Justice Hill, they're talking about is coming back. And so, it could be quite a mess for sure. And like you said, Ravens running backs feels like it hasn't been relevant for 2 years now, right? So ever since maybe Dobbins in 2020 or Mark Ingram. And so, it's a tough situation for sure.
Steve coming in. I was a Kenyon Drake fan all summer, and even I cut him last week. And despite how well he did, still don't want him back. Yeah, that's kind of where we are with all of the Ravens running backs. I mean, there's nobody you feel confident playing. I felt gross even just looking at him for most of it, and so I don't know. I'm not on it. And then another one I was interested in if Taylor was out was Deion Jackson, but I think he got hurt towards the end of the game, and that makes me so nervous. And I think Taylor's coming back. So if you're looking for a handcuff, if you're going to get 10 targets, I want that player all day. Ridiculous.
It's like, why don't they give that to Jonathan Taylor when he's in there? Why don't they throw the ball to him 10 times? It's a little frustrating, but I agree about Deion Jackson. We've seen what he can do if he's the guy. So at the very least, if you're a Jonathan Taylor manager, you should probably scoop him up depending on what the injury is. Another handcuff I've been saying for the last couple of weeks was Rashad White.
Always a good one.
Look at what Fournette's doing and just how many backup running backs have we already had the first 6 weeks? Jamal Williams come in and Deion Jackson come in, and these guys just take over, and it's like, nothing happened, and they put up these huge weeks. So just the potential of
I'm going to kind of stop you there because I pumped the brakes on somebody pretty hard this past week, and Eno Benjamin, and that was it's again, you're looking at talent, and clearly Rashad White has it, so I'm completely fine picking up as a handcuff for sure.
Yeah,
but when it's like Eno Benjamin, there's a reason I don't have him on my list tonight. I do not want Eno Benjamin. It doesn't look good. I mean, that was a great opportunity, and he just kind of did nothing with it.
Yeah, you do have to look at, like you said, the talent and also just the team in general. I mean, the Cardinals offense is just not good this year,
Well, Murray rushed for 100 yards yesterday. I mean, some that should have gone to Eno's way. What the heck?
Yeah, how many of those were actually designed though? Or were they just scrambling, running for his life? I didn't watch the game completely.
10 yards to carry. He had 10 carries
yeah.
for 100 yards. I'm just saying the dude's ridiculous, but.
So yeah, Rashad White, I really like. And then like super deep leagues or the whole Cam Akers situation in LA and Kyron Williams, their rookie. I think he's on IR still. So if you have an IR spot, he's only rostered in less than 2% of ESPN leagues, and why not throw him on your IR spot if you have him? And who knows what's going to happen with that situation? He was kind of talked about as he was going to get some work. He was going to see some playing time before he injured his. I think it was like a high ankle sprain. So I mean, again, deep league. If you have an IR spot, why not throw him on there as you're changing players out this week?
Well, and you kind of touched on it, but what do you think about Malcolm Brown? I mean, he got some snaps, but I don't think it's enough to make him somebody I'm targeting specifically, unless you're just absolutely hurting on the wire for a running back.
Yeah, just no running back has looked good in that Rams offense. I mean, no one besides Cooper Kupp right now is. Do I want on that Rams offense, which is kind of crazy.
Higbee this past week. Higbee, up until this week, had been great, and then this week he just kind of. I have no idea what happened to him. It wasn't the situation I was expecting at all. But
yeah, I mean, tight end happened to him. That's what happened. It's just
being that position is rough. Well, I think he's actually used for blocking, which might have been part of the case, and so Allen Robinson got some targets that way. But so we'll get off of that. We'll move into wide receivers, and I'm starting with the same guy that I keep telling you guys to get, Wan'Dale Robinson. He finally came back healthy this week. 6.5% rostered, which is too low. I'm telling you that right now. It's driving me crazy. This is why I was trying to get you guys ready so you didn't have to race out for him. First week, 3 for 4, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Oh, Sorenio came in. Should I stick with Mike Evans or try to trade him for Amon-Ra St. Brown? I'm always preferring people who get more volume, so I'm going Amon-Ra because Evans is secondary to Godwin when it comes to targets. But what do you think, Mike?
That's a tough one. I mean, I haven't looked into his, and then he had the injury. He came back. He played a little bit, but assuming he's healthy in a PPR league, I might go St. Brown. In anything else, I'd probably lean Evans still.
Yeah, that touchdown upside is definitely a big part of Evans' appeal.
Yeah, definitely. Even in half PPR, I might still lean Evans, but it's really close in PPR. St. Brown and the Lions were like the number one offense before they played the Patriots. There's always the Jameson Williams factor. I have heard nothing about him, so just kind of throwing it out there of maybe he comes back and that affects St. Brown, but it seems like the offense kind of runs through him, so I might go St. Brown there.
But again, Wan'Dale Robinson should be the one who's eating a lot of targets when you're looking at that offense. Kind of along the same lines. Names that you keep hearing, and I've told you about. Devin Duvernay, Alec Pierce, still too widely available. Pierce, even this week, where I thought he would have a horrible game, ended up catching a touchdown. Like, it's amazing what this kid keeps doing and keeps showing off. I'm going to hear it a lot, so I'm going to ask you what your thoughts are. What do you think about this Robbie Anderson getting traded to the Cardinals? What's his value? I'll give my response, but want to know what you're thinking.
We were discussing it actually in the Discord, which everyone should join below me. Patreon.com/important nonsense.
That way.
Yeah.
If I can get my.
For me, it's here.
Yeah, it's over here.
We were talking about in the Discord, and if you're picking him up, needing someone to start this week, he's not the answer.
Short week 1. They're playing Thursday.
At least week 9 is like the earliest you're going to start him because you kind of need to see it from him. You're not going to see it this week. I'm 90% sure about that. So then you have to wait and see week 8. Week 9 comes. So I don't know. Deeper leagues, there's always the chance. There's the chance that Hopkins comes back and, pulls a hamstring injury and he's older. And we've seen what it's done to Keenan Allen. And there's always these, possibilities. We're just kind of expecting Hopkins to come back and be Hopkins again, but there's a possibility that he won't. And so maybe the Anderson will be good, but if you need someone now, definitely not for this week.
But on the same team, you're looking at somebody. I mean, you're looking at Rondale Moore. He's continues to see targets. It's still going to be there for him. He's that seems to be like a short area target that seems to be working out pretty well as a dump off for Murray. But
yeah, that was my guy this week, and I'm gonna say I think this is possibly the last week you're gonna be able to pick him up, at least for the next couple weeks, because this week he could have a really, really good game. You could pick him up and start him this week, in my opinion. Just again, short week. You got Hopkins supposed to be coming back. That's the plan, at least. His suspension's up. Marquise Brown's out. Robbie Anderson's not gonna. It's gonna be like Hopkins and Zach Ertz. That's
Moore.
And Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Rondale Moore and Zach Ertz show. And we'll see about Hopkins. So I really like him, and even not just for this week, but potentially for the rest of the season as like a bench guy, spot starter, flex, maybe.
Low end flex for sure. He definitely going to get up there if he continues to see all that massive target share. If he ends up hopefully knocking out Green, he could be a big target guy that would help the team a lot.
I guess he played, it was like 16 out of 17, 2 wide receiver sets he played over Green. So he was in there. It was him and Brown, and then 2 wide receiver sets. So if that kind of continues, it's going to be him and Hopkins in 2 wide receiver sets, which is what you want for fantasy points.
Yeah. Is there anybody else you're kind of looking at if you're
just another IR stash? Van Jefferson again. Who knows? He could be on your IR. He gets active and you just cut him. But why not? Who knows what's going to happen? What's your roster going to look like in 2 weeks? So that offense seems like they could use someone else, and maybe it's Van Jefferson, who was pretty good at times last year.
Well, I thought for sure they were going to grab Robbie after what I mean, that would have been the same thing, but I think Van Jefferson definitely helps as a field stretcher and has some talent. So if you have the ability to grab him and kind of stash him, put him on IR, I think that'll be a massive get for him too. So, well, I guess we'll get off of wide receivers. We'll move into my favorite position, the tight end. I'm not like everybody else, but if you are like everybody else, you should make sure to try and grab your Abolish the Tight End shirt at shop.importantnonsense.com using promo code NERD. That'll help you get a little bit off of it. And if you're into that group, I figured that'd be a nice little gift. We also have spooky season shirts out. I'm really excited for all the stuff that we're putting out, and hopefully, oh baby, Steve coming in on top rope. Rondale Moore, 99% of offensive snaps to Green, 69%. Nice.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. But get back into the point. Tight ends. Man, I'm still going with my guy, Daniel Bellinger, because again, the Giants have to pass to somebody, and it can't always be Robinson. And it seems week after week, Bellinger's getting the looks in the red zone. I mean, week 2 versus Panthers, 8.6 fantasy points, got a tight end. Week 3 versus Cowboys, 8 fantasy points. Week 4 versus the Bears, 5.3, because you're able to run the ball. So that kind of helps them there. But again, week 5 versus Packers, another touchdown, 10.4 fantasy points. Week 6, this past week versus the Ravens, 14.8 fantasy points, and he got a touchdown. Like, that's a pretty solid tight end for you if you're looking for anything. That's one of the ones that's, again, pretty widely available, 2.5% rostered. Led the team. Did he really beat out Barkley? That's impressive. But I guess that makes sense. They were able to kind of use him pretty sparingly, and Barkley was getting a lot of the tackle work and just eating him up. So I shouldn't be super surprised. But the other guy is, again, potentially due to the injury, and that's Cade Otton. With Cameron Brate having a neck injury, we're not quite sure how much that ends up affecting him or if he's going to be out this week. But if he is, Cade Otton becomes a very viable option. Again, 6 targets went to the tight end this week. So if he gets all 6 of those, I think it's a pretty solid fantasy day for him. Him and Brate both put up roughly 50. Together they put up, I think they were 5 of 6 and put up 40 plus yards. So you're looking at 9 points. That's something you'll be happy with as a tight end owner for sure. But yeah, he had 5. Robinson and Johnson had Wow, Barkley only had 3. Huh. That's rough.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I
And
didn't use him more.
and
But
he had that kneel at the 1 yard line
I
instead of scoring the
know.
touchdown. I'm like,
You're
oh.
killing me. I mean, it's such a great football play, but in
There's-
fantasy, you're just crying. You're like, that's
Yeah.
6 extra points. You could have saved it.
I know.
So rough.
Crazy.
But you have some tight end targets you're kind of looking at.
Yeah, I mentioned him last week, Irv Smith. Although Vikings are on the bye, so if you're looking for someone this week, obviously don't pick him up. But for future weeks, he's just a very consistent player. He scored a touchdown against the Dolphins week 6, and that's 3 weeks out of the 6 that he's had 8+ PPR points. In week 1, I think he's kind of coming back from an injury, or I don't think he played that many snaps, possibly. So, I mean, if we look at it, 3 out of 5 weeks, you're getting 8+ PPR points. He's getting 4 to 6 targets every game, and they're on a pretty good offense, I would say. So I like Irv Smith as a bye week fill-in, but again, not for this week. He's on a bye. Gesicki, I don't know how I feel about Gesicki.
Yeah, I think that's more based on the fact that it's a backup quarterback, and a lot of them, when they get nervous, will throw to the tight end because it's a big body, center of the field, and they're usually just kind of floating out there and getting in an open spot because that's usually what they're used to doing. So, that's not somebody I'm super excited about, especially if Tua is coming back. However, if Waddle's out,
yeah,
it becomes more interesting if that's the case.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was if Waddle's out and they need, because Gesicki was basically a wide receiver last year. He wasn't a tight end. And so possibly if Waddle's out, it's someone to throw a dart at.
Well, Thomas Dotson just joined at work. Stream tight ends when he dropped hers for Bellinger, and you betcha. I absolutely love the guy. I think the fact that Wandale's there is going to help open up the offense more. Barkley is going to get good work. And again, it's a pretty good matchup in the Jags. I mean, could be doing worse, and I think that he ends up seeing, everybody's going to see targets in that game because they're going to have to throw. I just don't see them not doing that. Even though they are able to lean on Barkley quite a bit, they have to throw it at some point to offset all the target or all the usage and get Barkley a rest. But
yeah, I would do that too. I think it's so tough with tight end. You're always chasing. If you're streaming tight ends, you're just always chasing points, and you could literally get on a streak where it's just like you never pick the right guy during the right week. But
and that happens. That's just part of it. Is when you're streaming tight end, you're kind of looking at it. And another popular name that I'm sure people are going to talk about is Robert Tonyan. You saw a bunch of targets this week.
12.
That's insane. It's not something you're going to be expecting to happen every game. But right now, when Rodgers can't decide if he likes Dobbs or not, he was getting targets in the center of the field. Him and Lazard were the ones really just getting targeted, which is frustrating, more specifically for me because I'm an Aaron Jones owner, and so I want those targets to be going to him, and it's just not happening. I don't understand it. It's so infuriating, but again, it's whatever. So if you're chasing somebody, that's probably a good idea. With the target share that he had last week, at least.
Yeah, he's one of the few waiver wire tight ends where I'm like, there's a decent shot that he just becomes your starting tight end and you no longer have to stream, which is kind of what you're ultimately looking for. Settle down with someone, right? And not bounce back and forth.
Steve's saying it's because somebody started it against him. And so he saw the 12 targets and just demolished him this week.
So just ask who is going against Steve.
Yeah. So join the Discord and ask Steve what tight end's being played against him. Exactly. And you'll have a great idea of who to play next week.
Yeah. The last thing about Tonyan is, I think Cobb was injured, right? Oh yeah, he is. He's not season ending, but
but he is dealing with injury. Yeah.
So that kind of, him and Tonyan, I feel like they're gonna see similar targets. So that a lot of that now, maybe that's why we saw 12 targets for Tonyan. So yeah, I would definitely maybe prioritize Tonyan possibly over all these guys. It's kind of up to you. It's tight end again, but he's only rostered in I think less than 30% of ESPN leagues. So
yeah, I like he's pretty widely available. That was somebody that people were speculatively adding when, just because they thought this game was going to go a lot different, including me, because I had it on the Green Bay, and of course they decided to lose for me. So that was a great parlay on my part.
Yeah.
Speaking of pain, make sure you join the Discord, only $1 a month, and you'll get to see me cry every week when I end up losing because of one team blowing it for me.
Yeah. It's always that way.
But we'll get off of tight end. We'll move into another part that people seem to just hate. And if you're like me, I stream them all every week in its defenses. And guess who's widely available right now that I have set it for my waiver wire? The Patriots. 22.5% rostered currently. Too low. I mean, this is a great defense. They're going up against the Bears, who are just going, they're going to eat. It's going to be ridiculous. I have no faith in the Bears moving the ball against the Patriots. And how do you handle Kyle Pitts with the tight end world? Do you treat him like you're streaming week to week? Do they need, I mean, maybe. Desmond Ridder would be a benefit to Kyle Pitts, would be my guess. Yeah. But Mariota, I mean,
he ran like 15 routes and they threw 14 times. It's like they ran 40 times, I think. And I've just decided I'm never gonna bench him for someone else. So I'm just gonna die on that mountain this year. I know I have him in two leagues. I'm only in like 3 leagues. I have him in 2 of my 3 leagues, and I'm just gonna die on that mountain. And I hope something clicks. But yeah, that offense, if they're not gonna throw more than 15 times and they're gonna run 40 times, he had a really good game for relatively comparatively, the pass attempts. So
yeah, at this point, in the past 2 weeks, the Bears have thrown more than the Falcons, which is not what you're wanting to happen. You're wanting it to be thrown to your 2 studs in London and Pitts. Give those guys the ball and see what they can do. Not running it into the back of whoever's in front of you, Caleb Huntley. Stop doing that. Stop using your tackle and pushing him and running. It's so infuriating to watch.
Yeah.
But
if you're gonna stream, you're kind of playing. If you want to stream, go for it. But I can't live with myself seeing Pitts on the bench and he puts up 120 yards and 2 touchdowns or something. So,
I mean, if you're a George Kittle owner, you completely understand that, because I was telling everybody to sit George Kittle. He's become a blocking tight end, and this week he catches 8 for 81 and a touchdown. Like, it's stupid. It's so frustrating. A game that the 49ers should be able to dominate with their running game and defense. Nope. I understand their secondary had their defense had a lot of injuries, but man, that was just so frustrating to watch them just struggle through that game. There's no way that they should have lost.
No, it was frustrating. And I was on the whole, Mariota is going to get benched for Ridder. But Falcons are playing well. Like, I don't know why
they're winning by running the ball. Yeah, it's frustrating. Like, if they weren't winning, this would not be an issue, but it is.
Yeah, they're right there. They're competitive in all their games, and they're second in the NFC. They're tied for same record as the Bucs in the NFC South. So they're not benching Mariota.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, unless they get, I could see if they get oh my gosh, eliminated from playoff contention, that they could maybe see it then, what they have in him, what kind of talent there is. But outside of that, it's not worth it. But again, make sure you pick up the Patriots defense. That's my favorite pickup for this week. Outside of them, I also like the Broncos, who, if you have somebody, you can drop tonight to pick them up to play them next week.
Yeah, get ahead of it.
Yeah. Oh, guys like Pitts, Kittle, Waller are bad right now, but the upside is so much. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what you're hoping for, is that eventually something happens. Something has to happen for them to start passing to these players. Waller, I'm not as worried about. Kittle, I've been worried about just because they run the ball. So if you're running the ball that much, it's hard for them to pass, which might also be kind of affecting Waller, but that's more, again, Adams coming in that is messing that up, and them still giving the ball to Renfro and Holland instead of giving it to Waller. But
yeah, at this point, if you don't have Andrews or Kelsey, it's like everyone's in the same boat basically. And
Goddard
or Zach Ertz.
is another, and Zach Ertz. Those are like the top 4 tight ends right now because they're all seeing consistent targets.
Yeah, but I mean, even Goddard had a terrible week last week, and it just feels like Kelsey. I know even Andrews has had a down week, maybe one, but it feels like Kelsey is like, how can he ever have a down week? You know,
that's because he is their wide receiver 1. That's what it's turned into. It's just and he's always open. I mean, I don't understand how teams can let him get open, which I can't say anything because he still catches passes against the Chargers, but they at least try and game plan for him. He had a smaller day for the most part when he played us, but he's just a big body target, and he finds the end zone. I mean, he knows to get where to go. Him and Mahomes have that connection. So I was smart this year. This year I made sure to pick up Andrews in the first round or second round when I could. I mean, well, I guess actually I think it might have been the third, because I was like, I'm going to get a wide receiver and a tight end, or a wide receiver and a running back, and then I'm going to grab Andrews because I knew he's going to be available. People are going to wait on him. I want him. I know people are going to go Pitts and Kelsey and Kittle, and I'm not going to have to fight him for it. I'm just going to pick him up and run with it. So thankfully that's been my go-to this year, but God, we keep getting distracted. Stop doing that, Mike. Mike and Steve, stop. You're confusing me. I'm getting lost. But we're talking about defenses that you can stream. Patriots 1, Broncos 2, play the Jets. This is going to be an ugly game. They're going grind. It's defense on defense. Zach Wilson's look good, though, even. I mean, that offense is doing really well with Breece Hall there.
I think he passed like 10 times or something, But, it's...
Drop Algier for Huntley. I probably would, actually. I mean, he saw more usage. And granted, neither one of them are good, but they're running the ball enough that it doesn't really matter. If you need some this week, especially no Singletary, Henderson, Cook's more of the one. Sanders, all those are kind of in the way, but I think that'll help move up your running backs for sure because those guys have been playing pretty well. But again,
defenses.
Yes, back to defenses. Patriots and Broncos. Neither one of them have put up negative points yet this year. And so if you can drop somebody tonight to pick up the Broncos, that's another good way of doing it because they should be available for tonight's game for the next 10 minutes or so. But do you have somebody you want to play?
Honestly, Patriots are probably my number one choice. We always talk about like upside with wide receivers and running backs. I feel like Patriots are one of those like upside defenses. It's like they can put up double-digit points. They did it against the Lions. They did it against the Steelers. They did it against the Browns. So 3 out of the 6 weeks, they can
not bad.
They can kind of win you weeks. I don't know why they're so only 22.5%. It seems kind of strange to me. The roster percentage. So I would grab them for sure. I mean, if you're super desperate, maybe the Titans. That's just mostly due to them playing the Colts, and the Colts are 27th against defenses. So and that's even after the Jags scored 0 on them, and they're still 27th. So they have. But it seems like maybe the Colts are getting things together a little bit after last week. Who knows? I would go Patriots, Broncos.
I think the Jags are having the issue of them not having all their players healthy. I feel like they're moving Kirk around too much, and that's really hurting the offense as a whole. But again, I agree. The Titans look good. Coming off of a bye definitely helps too. I mean, that having that ability to plan. I mean, at this point, I'm super pumped to roll out Goff next week if you can, because of the fact that coming off a bye, they've had a full week to watch another week of tape on the team they're facing, and going to be all fresh, especially if everybody's back and healthy. I'm assuming that Swift and Amon-Ra are both going to be coming back healthy, and it's going to be a fun week for sure to watch all these teams they had that week to rest, prepare, get away from the game for a minute, and then pop back into it and just wreck the first team that they see if possible. But so that's it. We're going to wrap it up because both Mike and I want to go watch our Chargers, see if they can't get a W tonight against the Broncos. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember, shop.importantnonsense.com, promo code NERD. Make sure you join the Discord. Only $1 a month. Get a bunch of great stuff. Mostly us talking and complaining about how life is just unfair when it comes to fantasy. But you get our big push is clear the waiver wire, clearly trade analysis and help. All that stuff is what we do, and we're here to help you. That's the whole point we do these shows. But outside of that, is there anything you want to say, Mike?
No, just look out for the trade article tomorrow, mid-morning on Important Nonsense, and Twitter at Michael Berland. It's BURLAND. And in the Discord, of course, I like answering questions.
Oh, Steve coming in $3 and get those top-rated sports betting picks, which I need to start listening to. That's my issue. Is I'm I'm just assuming I'm smarter than these guys. These guys are ridiculous.
Yeah.
They keep going over 80% on their picks. It's just incredible to see them do that. And Mason Cameron and Vishal Gupta are just doing an outstanding job for us, continuing to put up great numbers. But yeah, so excited for your article every week, Mike. Outside of that, I mean, hope you all have a good week. Go Bolts. Time to bolt up. And as always, remember, keep up the nonsense.